Hi everyone, let's go over my bullish and bearish Elliott wave scenarios on Bitcoin, starting with the bullish scenario on the 4-hour time frame, where we are looking for a bigger impulsive structure to the upside with still one more high in the making, finishing this green wave 1, looking for then a 3-wave corrective structure to the downside in 2 and continuation to the upside. Currently, you can see we are in this blue box, which is the target area for your wave 4, which is based on the price section of the wave 4 of a lower degree, which is the white wave 4. A wave 4 of a higher degree, being the blue wave 4, tends to retrace to the price section of a lower degree, and that is exactly what the box represents. Now, after this then wave 4, we want to see an impulsive structure to the upside in a wave 5. The common target for your wave 2 is between the 05 and the 786, taken from the low to the potential high at about 70.9k, where we do have some additional resistance, the blue box here, which then gives you a target between 62.2k and 57.2k, after which we then look for continuation towards the upside. Now, based on the local structures to the downside here, preferably your wave 4 would be finished. It is already quite stretched if we count a 3-wave corrective structure to the downside here, preferably a WXY double zigzag structure. Your wave Y went to the 1.618, which is already a bit of an uncommon target, so preferably your low of your wave 4 is in, and we look for signs of strength and support on the lower time frames, looking for that impulsive structure to the upside. Now, what I mentioned in the update earlier this morning is that preferably we see price retracing towards the base channel. This is the base channel taken from the low to the end of 2 to the end of wave 3, and as you can see, we have now hit the base channel, which is nice because that is something you do like to see for a wave 4, and then of course look for signs of strength and support for a 5 up. And we also broke the trend channel taken from the end of 1 to the end of 3 to the end of wave 2, which means that we arrived in that triangle that I was talking about earlier today, which also hosts the interesting support area, the white box, very messy chart, but this white box here between 63.6 and 64.8k. So we ended up inside this triangle area, interesting area to look for signs of strength for that wave 5 towards the upside, or of course alternatively signs of weakness for a continuation down in the bearish scenario I'll cover in a second. Now, because preferably your wave 4 in this scenario would be finished, we can now also look at the end channel, which is a channel that you take from the end of 2 to the end of 4 to the end of wave 3. And preferably you would like to see your wave 5 end at the midline or close to the top line of this channel. Now, to the upside, there is 2 main areas of resistance for this potential 5. First of all, the blue box, 69.1, 69.7, and then that 70.9k area. The first area of resistance, though, en route towards the upside would be this blue box here between 66.3k and 66.8k. Now then we clean up the chart once again and look at the bearish scenario. Here we have a finished impulsive structure, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, unless price takes this low from a hardcore Elliott wave theory probability standpoint, the probabilities for this scenario would be lower unless, again, you would take this high. That's when things start to switch. And the reason is that we have a leading diagonal here in a wave 1, which has theoretically lower probabilities compared to a double 1, 2. In this leading diagonal over here, or after the leading diagonal, you have a wave 2 to the downside, which is very, very short in time. If you take a fib time from the start to the end of your wave 1, you can see that the 382 is over here, while wave 2 ended far in front of the 382, which preferably it doesn't. Even if we would finish wave 1 at the left pivot here, wave 2 still did not make it till after the 382, which is preferred, right? And then we have the move towards the upside, finishing your wave 1 here. And if we do look for a bigger structure to the downside, then preferably we don't touch the 886, which happened here. If you take a Fibonacci from the high that we made to the first low here, you will see that this retracement hit the 886, which does impact the probability slightly. If we are really looking for much lower prices, then preferably you're counting this move to the downside as an impulsive structure in a multi 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, and then eventually 3-4 continuation to the downside. Now what you see here is that your first wave 2 hit that 886 taken from the high to the low of your wave 1, which already reduces the probabilities for this particular scenario. What's also interesting is that your lowest degree wave 2 here is the longest wave 2 in time compared to the blue as well as the green wave 2. And I talk about degrees, but your green Elliott wave count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is the biggest degree. Then you have blue 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sub degree of the green wave 3. And then you have white, and preferably each wave 1 and 2 is a little bit shorter in time. And then also preferably we are then looking for the white wave 4 after a finished 3, looking for 4 continuation down. If price moves towards the upside just a little bit more, wave 4 is going to hit the low of your wave 1, which invalidates an impulsive structure to the downside in a 3, 4, 5, because 4 and 1 are not allowed to overlap. But if you like to be at least a little bit more safe and have some higher probabilities for a bigger move again towards the upside, you would like to wait for 65.8k to be hit, which is a 618 taken from the blue 2 to the low that we have over here, and that would increase the probabilities for this move towards the downside to be corrective and not this very impulsive bearish structure to the downside. So these are two levels to at least keep an eye on, 65.4k and 65.8k. Mind you, again, we do have that resistance here as well, so quite interesting to observe what price does between 66.3 and 66.8k. What would also be positive is to break the bearish CVD divergences, and as price is then moving towards the upside here, we want to see bullish CVD divergences, because so far we had consistent bearish CVD divergences as price moved towards the downside, also locally here, but these have now been invalidated after some very local bullish CVDs. But now we are starting to change some market structure. We would like to see those levels hit that I just spoke about, but also see continuous bullish CVDs building as price is moving towards the upside. So also if we move to the upside and would hit the resistance here, we like to see price range against this resistance, maybe see a bit of a rejection, absolutely no problem, but we like to see bullish CVD divergences building as price is moving towards the upside. Now we had some news earlier today on a Thursday here, 2:30, right? But also tomorrow, Friday, 2:30 p.m. Central European Time. We have some high impact news, so make sure that you trade safe around that hour. And if we then finally look at the probabilities of the different scenarios, then actually nothing really changed except for some more information on the 15 minutes. On the weekly time frame, probability is higher for the bullish scenarios. Also on the daily, on the 4 hour, the unfinished impulse still theoretically has a higher probability compared to a finished impulsive structure. And it also very much depends on the local price section as we now find our way onto support, hit the base channel, broke out of the trend channel, so it's an area of interest. And the probabilities for a move up increase if price can take out 65.4k minimum to start with, and preferably also hit 65.8k before making another low over here. And it would be nice to see price also grind to the upside with some bullish CVDs, and therefore then also break the trend of having bearish CVDs all the time. I hope that this video was helpful or valuable to you. Please check out the brand new complete Elliott Waves guide playlist I've made that shows you all you need to know about Elliott Waves. Thanks for watching and subscribing, and I'd like to see you at the next one. Bye bye.